Hi everyone, I'm Joel Baird, the General Manager of Missoula Community Access Television, inviting you to what might be our last episode of Missoula Live for the year 2018.
For 2018. I'm Kim Anderson. I'm on the board of MCAT, and I'm the Director of Programs and Grants for Humanities Montana.
And for MCAT, I would like to pitch this to you, dear viewer. There are still slots left open in MCAT's media camp called some Winter Days. Is that day after Christmas this year, which is Wednesday, the 26th of December, and we're offering a kind of school length substitute care that's a lot more fun than school.
Yes.
So kids are going to learn things about cameras, they're going to learn stuff about video editing, stop animation, working in a group, making a fictional narrative film. A lot of horror has been known to come out of here.
It
but
is the holidays.
It's just the kids blowing off steam. So if you've got a child at home 9 to 13 and you're kind of scratching your head like, are they going to have cabin fever?
I don't want them sitting in front of the television or their phone or their computer.
You have to go to work and you'd like to have stuff to do. So what can be done is registration for this class. It's available at mcat.org. And then you just go through the slideshow, click on the image, and it would take you to a registration page. $99 for the 3 days, and every child will have like a product, like a DVD of what they made.
Yeah.
So you can go online or give us a call at MCAT 542-6228 if you need to learn more about it. And then one more thing I wanted to, Scott, if you could show the MCAT page again, and that slideshow, and then slide over to the library elevation drawing, making you see. We did a lot of high school sports, thanks to Scott. There's Saturday drop-ins, that's not happening.
There we go.
Click on that. So when you click on this, you see the construction site itself. So I just thought people at home might like to see that.
It's so exciting. I just drove by it on the way to the studios this afternoon, and the progress. Wow, there's a foundation.
Right, it's a bird's eye view of the new Missoula Public Library Culture House that will be future home of MCAT, future home of UM Science Discovery Center, Spectrum, and future home of Children's Museum Families First.
Yes.
So if you have a curiosity, mcat.org, page through till you see the slide of the library, click on it, and they'll see what the weather's like over on Front and Main. It's got that handy part. Well, should we introduce Susan? You want to talk about humanities?
I just have one quick little date on your calendar to mark, and that is that Humanities Montana will be hosting the Governor's Humanities Awards in Helena, Montana on February 4th, a Thursday. And we are honoring 5 very, very worthy Montanans. For more information about it, just go to our website, humanitiesmontana.org. But it's a wonderful ceremony during the day in the rotunda of the Capitol, and then a really wonderful banquet that evening. The keynote address on the importance of the humanities this year will be by Bill Pullman.
Oh, wow.
The very well-known actor,
Yeah, Bill Pullman, the actor.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
And yes, thank you, Scott. There it is. So if you're interested or know any of the award winners or want to just help us celebrate the vibrancy of the humanities in our state, check out our website.
Nice. All right, well, Susan Campbell-Renault, welcome back
our good friend.
to this show.
From the North Pole.
Well, right.
I am Santa Baby.
Normally we see you festooned head to toe in American flags.
I know.
So this is a switch it up kind of thing.
I do have that.
Okay, there it is. I was wondering.
This is from New Orleans.
Oh, how cool.
Bourbon Street.
You haven't defected to Christmas Nation.
No, well, it's Christmas Santa Baby.
Right. That's excellent.
We are in the middle of delivering 750 Santa socks to veterans.
Lord love you.
Yeah.
And these are some of the cards that have been made by 900 darling children, mostly from Russell Elementary and Washington Middle School.
Okay, they are the winner schools.
But some of them are from grandmas that had their darling grandchildren make them.
Oh, that
So-
might include you.
No, I'm not artistic.
Okay.
But these are precious cards that we
Oh, that's
give
so sweet.
with our famous Santa
The
sock.
Santa sock.
And the Santa sock was started in 2008. And Joel and I have been together for 26 years,
Yeah, I
27
would say
years. And
something like that.
when we were children.
Right.
Babies.
But it's a full pair of socks.
Mm-hmm.
And inside are a bunch of goodies. And every sock is handmade by magical elves
Right.
at the North Pole. She's laughing.
No,
Well-
because
She
I think
thinks
it's
I'm
lovely.
kidding. But
I know you're not.
Oh, no. We are all magical elves,
Yeah.
at least in our mind.
Mm-hmm.
And every veteran is very ceremoniously and very sincerely presented a Santa sock
So nice.
and a card. And this one is from a very little child.
Annika, it looks like. or
Oh, yeah, it
Anima.
does.
And
Annika.
they write notes.
Aw,
Oh, yeah. Believe in yourself, it
Yes.
says.
Oh,
Oh, dear veteran, you are a hero.
Oh.
You serve the country in so many ways. Thank you for sacrificing your life for the country.
Oh my
I
goodness.
honor you.
Well, I hope there's
Merry
a lot.
Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year. Sincerely, Annika from Montana.
Oh,
So
that's
cute.
really sweet.
and this is typical of what they're like.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, the veterans are so touched.
I'm
and if
sure.
you can hold up one of
Look
the
at that.
beautiful
Yeah.
shawls.
Yes.
I like
gorgeous.
the striking color on the.
I know.
Gorgeous.
This is
These
gorgeous,
are
and it's
made by
soft.
Martha's Ministries and Wraps for Vets.
So soft.
Beautiful.
Is that local? Martha's
Yes, oh, it
Ministries
is.
and Wraps
This
for
is
Vets.
men and women that love to knit and crochet
Wow.
and
Wonderful.
quilt.
Yeah.
And then
beautifully made.
hats. Hold up your
Oh, yeah.
visual
Oh, yeah.
aid. We have gorgeous hats that
See how it sits upon my pretty head.
I know, and you look elfish.
You do.
You do. In fact, I'm going to give that to you
Oh,
because
come
you
on,
look.
really?
Look, the blue eyes.
Well, thank
blue
you.
eyes. I
It's
picked
pretty
it for
good.
you because you have blue eyes.
It looks good.
In this light, I guess. Well,
Looks
thank
lovely.
you.
But Santa Socks was begun by veterans with the United Veterans Council because we were asked to go all the way up to Columbia Falls
Wow.
and Helena to visit veterans in the veteran home there and also the hospital there. And we went, wait a minute, we have a ton of people right here that need
Yeah.
to be visited. And so in 2008, we started with 150 veterans. And this year we have blown up to 750 veterans. And
So these are folks with needs that you know
Not
about and want to
necessarily
make
needs.
this gesture to.
some of them are not needs. Some of them
Okay.
are vibrant veterans that
Sure.
are running
Well-to-do or whatever.
businesses, whatever. But we recognize them for their service,
Yeah.
and we just have a lot of fun. Carlos One Night Stand donated a magnificent Santa suit, which
Oh,
of course
how
Santa
sweet.
is real,
Yes.
but
But
we
it's
had to have a
sometimes-
substitute Santa for us.
Right.
Right.
And we had an Iraq Afghanistan veteran who came in and helped us part of the time. And today we had a Navy veteran who came in who has served for 30 years in the Navy. And he
Wow.
went down the bitter route with us. He lives in Florence.
In the Santa suit, and who does he visit?
We have just finished nursing homes and homeless shelters and assisted living
Nice.
and independent living
Yeah.
facilities. But we are looking for people to call the North Pole if they have veterans that they would like us to deliver Santa socks to, or better yet, we want them to become a magical elf and pick up a Santa sock at the American Legion on Ronan Street and deliver it to their loved one who is a veteran.
Oh, that's
Nice.
such a great idea.
Because that way, if you have a father, you have a mother,
Right.
you have a sister, you have a brother that are veterans, you as the loved one will, and we want you to do it with love and say thank you. and give them one of these adorable cards.
Nice,
That would be
Susan.
so meaningful to have
Yeah.
it from someone
I
you
want
know.
to underscore that and make sure people watching understand that
Yes.
the facility on Ronan Street is right off of 6th, you know me, and Russell. So Ronan is just on the west side of the Bitterroot Spur Railroad tracks. It's really close to Russell, a block
Right.
in.
Yeah.
5 more blocks here to Orange. It's really Midtown, super convenient.
But it's not open all the time.
Okay,
It's
important.
run by veterans, so,
Sure.
and volunteers, so they must call the North Pole at
Okay.
719-661-4037, and I will connect with Santa Claus.
Okay.
I have an inside connection.
Yeah,
Nice.
after all these years, you should.
After all these years,
You
I
should,
do, I
yeah.
really do.
Oh, good. And
And-
he's got the number on the screen or an email?
Oh, yes.
for-
Oh, an email. They can email me. And
Okay.
an email I prefer,
Okay.
bluemountain@montana.com.
That's
Right.
easy to remember.
And we will connect with Santa Claus. They basically are open Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 until 5 p.m.
Okay.
Christmas is right around the corner.
So this is the week.
So if they want to get their act together, they need to do it like now.
Yeah.
Right.
And we want them to be the one to present a Santa sock. And most of it is little candies and a little plastic soldier and little toilet articles.
Yeah.
Area hotels have donated things.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
And just all kinds of donors have helped out. And
You're saying it's the thought that counts.
well, it is. And the card is so special.
Yeah, the card
Right.
is really brilliant.
Right.
That's a
But
great
it
idea.
is so fun, and I would like to challenge anyone watching that next year especially, if they would like to go with us to the facilities like we did. We just finished out on December 17th today. We just finished doing the facilities. If they would like to be magical elves to the facilities, get in touch with the same phone number or email,
Right.
and we will keep you on the list for next year.
Okay.
Excellent.
I'm
But
sure you
we
could
still,
use more people
we
to
do,
do that.
but we always love to have people also donate. They can donate because the United Veterans Council, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, provides emergency shelter, food, and lodging for veterans that are in emergency situations. And we are privately funded.
That's great.
So the money goes to the American Legion, but you make it to United Veterans Council,
Right.
and it goes to help out veterans.
That's really good. I
So-
think a lot of people who watch this show know there's a very disproportionate correlation between people that have served in the armed forces and people that are homeless for whatever reason. You know, even though veterans are 7% of the population.
No,
they're
1%.
1%.
Less than 1%.
And homeless population, 30% or something
Yeah.
really
Well,
high.
there are, I think the impression is left that there's a lot of veterans that have problems, but really, there is a small percentage that have problems.
Yeah.
But those that do, we are there for them. And this Santa sock is not only here for the people that are sick, but also for the people that are strong and
Yeah.
Right.
doing cool stuff.
Just
You
a
just
fun
want to
thank
say
you.
thank you.
And the
Right.
children, I'm going to tell you, these kids, today, as an example, I gave a Santa sock with Santa Claus to a Marine in Florence, and I presented it to him, and he looked up at me with total belief in his eyes, and he said, "I'm so glad you didn't forget me."
Aw,
How do you put a price tag on that?
Absolutely.
another nice card.
And
So-
I think it's such a great thing for our young people to do.
Yes.
To get them understanding the concept of what it means to volunteer and sacrifice for your country.
Well,
And
yes.
and so this is a very good way of them being able to say thank you and do their part. So-
Well, and I think when you see little ones writing, I mean, this
Yeah.
is a really precious card too that has adorable
Yeah.
writing.
It really
Who doesn't
does.
like that?
I know.
So I'm going to repeat it again.
Please.
They can email me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Santa Baby.
That's right.
Yeah, not me.
Not you.
Yeah.
Santa Baby at the North Pole, bluemountain@montana.com. They can email me for information about picking up a Santa sock for a
Right.
loved one that is a veteran of any age and any background, including active duty.
Right.
Also, they can call me, 719-661-4037. And we are going to be delivering Santa socks through December 25th. And then for Valentine's Day, we're doing Valentine's called Cupid's Army.
Oh, you'll be back to talk about that.
I'll be in
Gotta
red.
be.
I can't wait for
I
that
will have a
outfit.
dingy hat.
Well, Susan, thank you
Yeah,
for
thank
all
you so
your
much for- You've been
volunteer
doing
work
this so
throughout the
selflessly
years.
for so
Yeah.
I
long.
love it.
My hat is off.
Well, thank you. Thank you, kind blue-eyed sir.
Most welcome. And thank you, dear viewer, for staying with us on our last 2018 Missoula Live. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be back with the next guest right after Scott shows you this.
Hi, I'm Jill.
And I'm Katie, and we're nursing students from Montana State University, working with the Missoula Forum for Children and Youth at the Missoula City County Health Department.
We want to let you know how you can help your patients keep their homes, pets, and children safe by promoting medication safety.
Did you know that every minute of every day, a poison control center answers a call about a young child accidentally getting into medicine?
Or that one child every 8 minutes is treated in the emergency room for accidental medicine poisoning.
However, medication poisonings are preventable. We invite you to help keep children in the Missoula community safe by increasing awareness and education for families about the proper use, storage, and disposal of medications in a fun and interactive way.
To do so, we at the Forum, in collaboration with Safe Kids Missoula and the Missoula Prescription Drug Task Force, have created a mock medicine cabinet to be placed in offices. This is an ideal setting, as on estimate 67 minutes of every office visit is spent doing non-medical tasks, such as sitting in the waiting room.
The cabinet includes an interactive card game for parents and young children to play together, which is similar to I Spy. This is how it works.
Can you find the 6 items in the medicine cabinet that don't belong? Give it a try, it won't take long. Toothbrush, toothpaste, nail polish, Band-Aids, cotton swabs, and mouthwash. Keeping everyday items away from medications is best. Put your family to the test. Medications should be locked up and away from the rest.
Another example is, medications come with labels that tell us who, when, how, and why. Do you see the medicine without these facts nearby? Correct. This medication isn't in its original packaging. Proper labeling is important. Without proper labeling, misuse is likely. This cabinet is a hands-on learning experience that provides tangible tips for parents on how to keep their homes and children safe, and serves as a conversation starter about medication safety.
If your office is interested in hosting our mock medicine cabinet, or you want to learn more about medication safety, please go to choicesmattermissoula.com or email at info@missoulaforum.org.
Thanks for watching.
Oh, we're back. I was just talking about health
Tell me more.
problems.
Yeah.
We're not going to because we have a guest in Charles
Yes.
Martin. He's here to talk about the Missoula Winter Market that's now at the Missoula Senior Center at South Higgins and South 5th Street West. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to promote it. So this market, people may remember, was at what used to be United Building Centers on 3rd and in the name of a tree cross street. And then it was at the
Elks.
Elks.
Right.
And now it's at a beautiful facility, the Senior Citizen Center. They've got that hardwood floor. Is that where it is?
Yes.
Oh, good. You feel free to tell people about it. You know, Charles came in to talk to me and I said, I'll go Saturday and take some roll-in footage. Boom. Phew.
Oh, yeah, well.
But I will eventually. and
We'll do
so
another
the
show with
people.
footage, yes.
Yeah.
But it's been going on now for quite a few years, the winter market, hasn't it, Charles?
Several people and several attempts have been made to get a winter market going to make it part of the community the way the summer markets are.
Right.
Because they're essential. That's a big part of Missoula.
Oh, yeah.
But then in winter, it sort of went away. And there was an attempt down on Mullen Street where the Teen Challenge Shop is now.
That's right, that's right.
Then there was the fairgrounds. And then the one you mentioned, we called it the Hive. That was very nice for a couple of years, and the building sold, and we had to find other place. And each move, it seems, has picked up another person or two who keeps working to make it something to last.
Yeah.
So now we've been at the senior center 2 years. We've got a full board. Everybody's working hard at, getting it all together, getting it lined up, making sure we have vendors, making sure that we have local produce.
Yeah, and some of the produce is surprising. I saw a picture advertising last Saturday's market that had those cold vegetables, like spinach was there, root vegetables, and so on.
I bought a bag of spinach this last Saturday that's just so fresh, so
You
good.
don't think of
So
it
I
that
love
in
it.
this cold weather that
No,
you could get spinach.
It's wintertime. That stuff's
Right.
supposed to be gone, but we're holding on with everything we can.
I saw-
Stretching that growing season as long as
Yeah,
possible.
with one of those
Yes.
frames I read about.
Right.
Well, Scott was showing the Facebook page. I don't know whether there were pictures on the Facebook page that we could show folks at home a little of the winter market, but maybe, Charles, you could give people kind of an overview of the kinds of merchandise they could encounter at the
Right.
winter market.
In addition to the produce, I mean,
Yeah.
the
Is
produce
it all food related or not?
Well, come in and have a cup of coffee and get ready-made food too.
Oh, nice.
There's falafels and the like, and the waffle vendor that was so popular at the Clark Fort Market
Oh,
this
Craig
summer.
Sweets
We have
waffle.
we have waffles there, breakfast waffles.
Yeah.
And then you can get into all kinds of arts and crafts. There's homemade soaps and
Wonderful, right.
shampoos and all of that. We've got a couple of people making hot sauces. We've got Arthur Wayne and Whittle are both there.
I saw some jewelry. Now Scott is paging through some of the photos from the winter market.
Yeah.
That looks like candy.
Well, that's
Yeah.
Sue Cost's little, she works with gourds and she also weaves.
Sure.
Okay. Here's some,
Yes. We've got furniture. That's something that I almost
Oh,
always forget to
wow.
mention, but we have a couple of woodworkers
Glad we
who
showed
make
the
some
pictures.
furniture.
Yeah. So how many vendors do you think are involved at this point?
We're running right about 40.
That's impressive.
If
It
we
is.
really squeeze them in, we've got room for 44.
Uh-huh.
And we had just over 40 a couple of times this year, but we're
Wow.
running right in there.
And I saw on one of those pictures, and I seem to recall from years past, that there used to be some music sometimes.
oh look, there's a guitar or two. in
We
that.
have, not sometimes, every week there's live music,
Oh,
and it's
great.
local musicians. Britt Anderson will be playing this next Saturday, and then John Parker the week after that. We have good old fashioned lined up, and Night Blooming Jasmine. Are you familiar with them?
No.
Well, it's spelled like the flower, but it's a bit of a backwards
Jasmine.
pun
Yeah.
because it's, yes, swinging music.
Nice.
The music
Sounds
is
like so
happy.
much fun.
It is. It's a party every Saturday.
Yeah.
It's free. There's no
It's free.
admission cost.
It's
Right.
free.
It goes through April the 20th,
April
which I
20th.
almost thought was a little scary definition of winter, but
But accurate in Montana.
yeah,
so many
accurate
years.
enough that
Yeah.
April 20th can be
Yeah.
the winter.
Well, we're falling into a pattern of just taking a week off between the end of the summer market and when we
Oh, I
start,
see, I see.
So
and then
people
a
don't
week
break
off.
the habit.
and then a week
Yeah.
off when we end before the summer market starts.
It's good because then people just, it's part of their routine.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. every Saturday through April the 20th
Yes.
at, I wish I could remember the street address of the senior
Well, it's-
On
citizen.
Higgins and
At
Fifth.
705 South Higgins.
That's it,
Right.
705.
And it's, you can see the Roxy Theater right across the street.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
That's
the
a
big
good landmark with their marquee and
Yeah.
everything.
Yes.
And there's ample free parking.
There's parking.
Oh, yeah. Yes, there's a whole lot right
Yeah,
there. So
next to,
it's-
just
right.
to the south of the senior. Is the market and the cellar open at the same time? You know, like the
They're
flea
opening
market?
the thrift shop.
Thrift
The
shop.
thrift shop was closed for a while on Saturdays, but with us there's enough business
Yeah.
going on now, and they're buzzing too, and pretty happy, I
Nice.
think, with the results down there.
Yeah.
That's a great collaboration.
It
Yes.
is.
Yeah.
Because the thrift market, you know, it has clothing, it has children's games,
Right.
it has books, it has old
Yep.
CDs,
Craft
Yep,
it has
materials,
vinyl records
yeah.
down there, and there's always a
Treasures.
bargain.
Yeah,
Lots
there's
of
some
treasures.
treasures in there.
Yeah,
If
there
you're
is.
careful and look,
Take
there's
your
some
time.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Well, Charles, is there anything you want to say about it that we left out or anything?
Well, you said more about than I did, so.
Well,
Thanks
this is
for-
your chance to redress the balance and make sure that you covered everything you wanted to say about it.
Well, it really is a community event, and it's something that we're working on to just add to the Zootown community because we need year-round markets here.
Yes.
We need to be able to access local produce, and there are some outlets in Missoula for that, but there aren't many where you can go in and actually meet the person who grew the food you're buying to tell you
Right.
how they did it.
Or make the soap that you're
Oh, yes.
Right.
sniffing.
Make
No,
the soap
and, you
and
know,
the-
people say know your farmer, and that's not just in the summer months.
and the hot sauces and whatnot.
Do it now.
Yeah.
It's fun in Missoula to watch who starts with a little booth at a market and grows and then winds up in all the stores around
Right.
town
and you
starts
say,
to
I knew them when.
Back
Oh,
then.
yes, I love that. Oh, I knew them when they.
And if people are watching and they have a something they'd like to vend, who would they make a pitch
Oh,
towards
good
the
point.
next winter market and say, wow, I saw that show on MCAT. We really should be selling our eclectic
Pickles.
watermelon pickled rinds down there.
There's an application, a vendor application,
Okay.
and that can be, you can pick that up by just emailing to us or coming to the market.
And you had your Facebook page.
We have a Facebook
So people could
page.
message you from there.
Yes.
If they're emailing, have we offered the address?
Long. Our name's
Oh.
big. Missoula Valley Winter Market
Just like we see on the screen.
Okay.
Missoula
at
Valley Winter Market.
gmail.com.
At
That's the address,
gmail.com.
yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right, good. Or just stop by and say hi.
Please come by
Yeah.
and say hi. Join the party, listen to the music, have a cup of
Good.
coffee.
And it's a wonderful facility. You know, I've spent a fair amount of time
Yeah, you have.
senior center, and it's the dance floor.
It's nice.
Right when you walk in, they've got a great kitchen. There's computers and magazines and the thrift shop in the cellar. It's just worth a visit if
Yeah.
people have never gone, or some folks may remember it in the neighborhood anyway from voting, because it often is a voting
Right.
location.
Yeah, I go with my shopping list for produce, and then I hit the basement to see what's.
Yeah, see if there's a trace or.
See if they've got a coat that'll
Well,
fit
see,
me.
yeah,
or,
exactly.
You know, whatever, and they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, Charles, also feel free to come back midwinter, since it is so long here.
Right.
And I have
Yes.
gone to the market, and we'll have the roll-in footage, and we'll give a report, let's say in February or March.
That sounds good.
And that's another thing. The produce will slowly wind down,
Yeah.
some after the holidays. We've got people who are doing crops that'll be available quite a while. But the music will be there and the arts and crafts. So if you have an arts or craft you want to sell, you might apply for after the holidays. We'll be there
Oh, yeah, 'cause
April 20th.
some of the fresh produce vendors will say, I give up, it's winter, and you'll have room for new
They
vendors.
won't completely give up. But
But they'll be preparing for it.
Yeah.
A little
ahead.
slowdown.
Yeah, right.
you go to those winter root roasts, you know.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's a
Scraping the
whole-
bottom of a root cellar just to get through another winter. All right, we better go. Charles, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tricia's here from Missoula County Public Schools. She's going to talk about family resource centers, which we thought would be a good subject
Yeah.
at this time of year. So if you can bear with another PSA perhaps about using a roundabout, we'll be right back with Tricia after that.
Welcome to another edition of the Montana Department of Transportation's How to Drive a Roundabout. We all know what to do at a traffic signal. Red means stop. Green means go. But when we come to a roundabout, we're often unfamiliar with what to do next. Oh no! Whoa, cowboy, wrong way. Here are the tips on how to properly drive on a roundabout. First, slow down when approaching a roundabout. Second, yield to traffic in the roundabout. Vehicles in the roundabout have the right of way. Now you're getting it. Third, do not stop within the circular portion of the roundabout. That's no place to stop. Fourth, signal your turn and exit the roundabout at the appropriate point. Following these instructions, you'll have no problem navigating the new roundabouts popping up all around Montana.
I surrender, I surrender.
All right, pal. Get ready for the day, buddy.
Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Do we have a gun?
What's that?
Do we have a gun?
You can't sit here.
Don't add her to the chain.
It was just a joke.
We're not friends.
Why are you talking to me?
He started it.
She's so gross.
Lame. Loser.
Weirdo.
I've said and done things before that I'm not proud of.
Just as I've been hurt by others.
The thing is, this is not who I am. And it's definitely not who I want to be.
I don't want to be cruel.
I don't want to spread gossip.
I don't want to be a body shamer.
I don't want to exclude anyone.
I don't want to make anyone feel lonely.
Left out.
Hurt.
We have the power to be more.
We can create a kinder world.
It's not that hard.
We just need to stop.
Take a moment
And consider others.
before we speak.
And before we act.
Be more.
Be more.
Be more.
Hey, let's check out this park.
Oh, we are back. We are back with Trish Kirsten. She is with the Missoula County Public Schools and Families in Transition Coordinator. Welcome. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Trish.
Thank you for having me.
So, during the break, the PSA of how to navigate a roundabout, we were talking about your responsibilities and title for the district. And could you tell people at home what it is you do for the school district?
So technically I have 3 titles. I'm the Federal Projects Coordinator. I'm the Families in Transition Liaison, and I'm the Foster Care Liaison. Basically, my job is to work with the families and kids who are experiencing housing instabilities and the kids who are in foster care, which is foster care group homes, kids who are not in the custody of their parents. Right.
And just to give people watching a sense of that, I mean, what is the size of that population? How many kids are we talking?
It fluctuates a little bit from year to year.
Sure.
Our foster care program is really kind of in its infancy still. That was actually part of the Every Student Succeeds Act that the districts start working directly with CPS and the group homes and start making sure that we've qualified those kids and get some services wrapped around the foster care kids.
Right.
And you said CPS, which might be an acronym that no one at home would get.
I apologize for that. The Child Protective Services.
Right.
So that group right now, we have probably about 117, 120 kids within the district.
Wow.
And that fluctuates really month to month because sometimes that's an emergency placement and then they get placed back with their families. So it's kind of a fluctuating number. Our families in transition numbers fluctuate kind of from year to year throughout the year. Right now, as of today, when I looked, we had 301 kids who are experiencing homelessness. Last year, we ended the school with 510. A lot of that was because we had the forest fires in the beginning of the year and the floods at the end of the year. So natural disasters also definitely cause people to lose their housing as much as economics and some
Sure.
other things do. So
Still, I mean, I always ask because I am always just shocked at how big the number
Right, because
is.
you think there would be a handful of kids, right, who are no longer with their parents of origination for whatever. You know, so, oh, maybe there's 30. No, there's
Lots.
hundreds.
hundreds.
And,
There really are. And educationally homeless, it's actually a federal law called the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act. Been around since about 1987. And it looks different than HUD homelessness. So HUD homelessness is literally homeless. It's what we think about when we see our adults at the Poverello Center or the people
Right.
who are living under Reserve Bridge and stuff. Educationally homeless, that McKinney-Vento fit homelessness, is different from the standpoint that it can be that. It can be literally homeless. So you could be in your car, you could be camping because you can't afford a place. Or an apartment. You could be in a motel because you can't
Right.
afford rent.
Maybe a voucher or something.
It can be that you're working with YWCA and you've received a motel voucher or you've received a voucher from a church. It can be doubled up. So you've lost your house because of economic reasons or because of a flood or a fire, some natural disaster, and you've moved in with your parents or your aunt and your uncle or your friends, but you have no legal right to be there. You're not on a lease. It can be very tenuous. You could have a lot of people in a very small place, and it gets really hard. And you, as a child, you bounce around from school to school to school, which is not good for a child's education. So under the law, the law actually says if you're a child experiencing homelessness, you have the right to school of origin. So we can keep a kid in a school. As soon as we find out, that becomes their school of origin. And if they move around the Missoula community, if they are in a different district, we can keep them in that school of origin and keep services wrapped around them and keep them moving forward educationally. We know that education is a way to break the cycle of homelessness.
Oh, yeah.
So anything that we can do to try to keep services wrapped around those kids.
Well, and to have that one point of stability in what is usually a very unstable time.
Exactly.
And emotionally,
I'll help you out. Yeah.
unsettled
Well,
time.
of course. Like,
yeah.
can you imagine you have like a voucher for a motel? You're trying to like get like
Everything
Wendy's
has
burgers
changed,
and fries,
everything
and
is
you have a
different.
pile of
Right.
homework.
To know that you are still in your school, that you still have.
You can go to the same teachers, you've got your same friends, and that school of origin now actually goes from, it includes receiving schools. So if you're in 5th grade and you're moving to 6th grade and you're experiencing that homelessness, and you're at school at Franklin, but you're living in the Paxton area,
Right.
if you're at Franklin, you would go to Porter, but if you're in Paxton, you would go to Washington, but all of your peers are going one place.
yeah.
And if you're still experiencing that homelessness, that peer group is really important. That's stability. You get the right to stay with that peer group and continue
And how
on.
do you achieve that practically? Do you have like smaller transportation, like vans or smaller buses?
We
that-
work with
that
Beach.
provide?
We work with Beach Transportation, and they do all of our transportation for that population, and it's a constant juggle, but they work really well with it.
Yeah, yeah.
So our FRCs are in every single building, whether it's a Family Resource Center.
Oh, and is that Family Resource
Family
Center,
Resource Center.
FRC?
Yep, the FRC, so Family Resource Center is in Title I buildings that receive specific specific federal funds. And then we have family and transition coordinators that are in non-title buildings. So exact same function, same support for the buildings, just call it a different thing in each building. But that person has clothing, has food, toiletries, almost anything that a family or a student experiencing some of those issues could possibly need. We try to support them with those as well.
And they're on site. So someone come into
in
school
the
and
building.
say, I need tampons today. I can't afford them or something. Or someone says, my glasses are busted. I have no idea how to get new ones and things like that.
We will absolutely do everything we can to support all of those kinds of things. We
Right.
literally have clothing closets in every one of our buildings. We have food closets in every one of our buildings. I have it in my office and the district office as well. So it doesn't matter where they go, we can hook them up with those kinds of things. One of our main jobs is also to make sure that we're hooking our families who are experiencing these issues, excuse me, to the wonderful supports that we have in Missoula. We have
Right.
such awesome social services. That's our job, is
So it's a more
making those
holistic
connections.
approach that you can all work together.
Exactly. You know, we're education. We did those
Yeah.
educational supports, and we really make sure that we're connecting our families with all those social service
So whether
supports
there's
within the
job
community.
training or
Yep. Working
food
with-
resources.
Family
Pardon me.
therapy
Yeah.
recommendations.
Getting hooked up with YWCA for housing, getting them hooked up with food, you know, with a food bank for getting
Right,
SNAP and getting
right.
the services that they need. Absolutely. That's what we do. That's our job. We're on those constant connections.
Because I know people talk all the time about how it is a 24-hour-a-day job just to navigate the system sometimes. It can feel like that.
Absolutely.
At any rate. It's very intimidating.
Oh,
It can
yeah.
be confusing. There's lots of different, places to have to
Yeah.
check boxes.
When you have critical gaps in your income, then all kinds of mayhem and all kinds of cooperative activities
Right.
take place. You know, since MCAT is a drop-in facility downtown, I've overheard schemes that would, just make those dominoes blush. That
Sure.
if we wait here, this man will bring $5, then we can buy fuel, and that guy's got the car, and he's going to take us to this place where we can get a new dress for so-and-so, or
Right.
whatever it is, because they're trading this for that. Very
Well,
complicated arrangement.
And imagine if you're a 16 or 17-year-old youth who's had to leave home for unsafe, unhealthy environment conditions, and you're couch surfing all over the place, and you don't have any of those supports that even like you were talking about, because those are usually adults making all those little connections throughout the.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely
You
in our
haven't
high
built
schools.
that network yet.
Right.
Now, I just want to make sure I understand this, Trish. So you're saying that there is someone at every single school in the district
Yes.
who is trained to help children who are in these situations.
Yes.
That's it.
Which is pretty nice, right? And then I wanted to explain to people watching, you mentioned Title I schools and not
Non-Title schools,
Title
right.
I schools. And is that designation for that particular school like the median income vis-a-vis?
Free lunches.
Yeah, and all
That's exactly
that?
what it is.
So you'd say this
Yeah.
school is in a poor district, the people here have more need, it's a Title I school?
It's how many families or how many students are receiving free and reduced meals.
Right.
That's what determines a Title I
Okay.
Title I school. So
Yeah.
to be a Title I school, you have to be at a minimum of 35% of your population. All of ours are actually at 40% or above population who are receiving free and reduced meals.
And that's income-based or something?
Income-based, yep.
Yeah.
And that's all set by the feds.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Right.
Yep. So from the homeless standpoint, within that population of those kids who are receiving free and reduced meals, the feds say you should be qualifying at least 5% of your population we absolutely know is going to be homeless. Excuse me, I have a tickle. The state says probably more like 10% of your school population of that free and reduced population. I looked that up just to see where we were at MCPS, and last year we were at 14.9% of our population of the free and reduced population is a family in transition. That's huge.
Yeah.
It's something
Really
we don't
good.
think about
No.
for Missoula.
Somebody always used to write this somewhere, when I was young. And they did a little graffiti, and it said, if you think the system is working, ask someone who isn't.
Yeah.
Very true.
Right?
It's
Yes.
very true.
But sometimes, from a particular perspective of comfort in Missoula, people do get deceived into thinking, well, everything's going really well. I mean, it is.
It
but
is.
this is the time of
But
the
not
year
for everyone.
where
Right.
we
Yeah.
kind of like to point up it's not for everyone. And
Yeah.
for people caught in these circumstances, it's not like a complete lifestyle that's never going to change.
No, often
That
this is a transitory
Yeah.
situation that people are
It can be
in.
acute. It can absolutely be an
Yeah.
acute thing where
Uh-huh.
somebody lost a job and just the dominoes kind of fell
Right,
and
a
hit
health
and suddenly,
thing issue.
yep,
They had a life that looked just like yours.
Yep.
Not too many weeks ago.
Yeah.
And sometimes all that family needs is that connection to one service within Missoula to help them get back on their feet.
Right.
And then they're going again. And then we've got the people who are more chronic, who just, it's really hard to get out of that bottom layer of poverty and never are able to quite get there, especially with the mental health services that have been cut within the state.
Yeah,
Really
a lot of talk
seeing-
about that.
Yeah, we're really seeing that that's affecting families who were unstable to start with, and then have lost that support, and it's just
Yeah.
really made it more difficult.
Tough year.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely a tough year.
Well, Trish, I don't want to keep you. Is there anything we didn't cover? That
The
you'd
only
like
thing I
to
think
make
that I would
sure?
like to make sure that people can know is that if they, one, are ever experiencing anything, even if they aren't, even if their child isn't in that particular school, they can always come in and talk to us, and we can always help direct them to where they need to go. We are more than happy to try to be that liaison anywhere. The other thing is, if anybody ever wants to be able to donate any, excuse me, donate anything. I mean, we'll definitely take toiletries, gently used clothing items,
Very
make
good to
financial
know.
donations. They can absolutely do anything. They can bring into the buildings, to the schools, to myself at the district office. I have the ability to be able to get things out to the schools, so I can kind of be like a one-stop shop, and then I can
Now, are
send
you
things
over on
out.
6th or out on South?
I'm over on 6th at
Okay.
215 South 6th Street West.
Yeah,
the
people know
administration
it by
building.
the grand building.
know.
Yeah, that it
Indeed.
is,
Old
from the old
orchestra,
days.
Yeah.
It was my old orchestra building.
Yeah, really.
Oh,
That's how I
see.
remember
Yeah.
rehearsals.
Was that from Hellgate? You go over there?
No, from grade school.
PAX,
Wow.
yeah.
Oh, that must have been fun.
It
So you
was.
can drop things on donations off at your neighborhood school.
Yes.
Or you can go to the headquarters
Yes.
where your offices are.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's swell. And so once again, too, if people had toiletries, maybe things. I mean, do you say, well, we could also use writing utensils, notebooks, these
School
kinds?
supplies, absolutely. School supplies anytime throughout the year. Toiletries anytime throughout the year.
Old
the one
phones, if people have like a phone that they, I don't know.
Typically, we don't do that because
Okay.
we don't have funds with any of
Oh,
our
right, sure.
thing that we can use to help get
Yeah.
that phone
I was
reactivated
just thinking
or
about
set up and everything
calculators.
else.
So many
Calculators,
kids.
absolutely.
Right.
Especially
Sine
those.
and cosine.
Exactly.
You must have been paying attention in that class, 'cause I
I
wasn't.
was not. I just saw it very problematic.
Or even past a big check.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Big checks
And
are awesome. Big
It's
checks are
tax
wonderful.
deductible to the
Yeah.
extent as allowable by law, and it's the end of the year, so.
Wonderful, absolutely. We've had
Absolutely.
some amazing donations this fall, which, or actually this winter, really this past month, is helping us purchase some Christmas gifts for kids who are in need.
Oh, nice.
Otherwise, they
that's
would have
good.
nothing. So yeah,
Right.
yeah, and
Well, Trish, come back and keep
Yeah.
us updated
Keep
on
us
what's
in
going
mind,
on
you know.
and new things as they become available, new needs as they
Yeah.
occur.
we'll do
Stay in
absolutely.
touch.
Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Thank
Oh, thanks for
you.
taking the time.
Oh, thank
And
you.
dear viewer, as tradition might suggest to you, we're going to do a teeny bit of Christmas reading.
We'll each give a little Christmas
Yeah,
poem.
there's 13 minutes left in the hour, so we're going to do that right after this.
Oh, wow, that's really cool. To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
There. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy. What do you call a pig that knows karate? Pork chop. Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Can I tell you another one? So how does a tissue dance? Put a little boogie on it. What's Beethoven's favorite fruit? Banana. What is a boxer's favorite drink? Fruit punch.
Do you like it? So some of you might recall that Joel and I, and sometimes other guests, like to read winter poems and Christmas poems on this show. And so I thought I would, because we don't have much time left, I would share a new, very favorite winter poem with you. And then I'm going to turn it over to Joel, who has something very special to share as well. This is called Horses, and it's by Pablo Neruda. From the window, I saw the horses. I was in Berlin in winter. The light had no light. The sky had no heaven. The air was white like wet bread. And from my window, a vacant arena bitten by the teeth of winter. Suddenly, driven out by a man, 10 horses surged through the mist. Like waves of fire, they flared forward, and to my eyes filled the whole world, empty till then. Perfect, ablaze, they were like 10 gods with pure white hoofs, with manes like a dream of salt. Their rumps were worlds and oranges. Their color was honey, amber, fire. Their necks were towers cut from the stone of pride, and behind their transparent eyes, energy raged like a prisoner. There, in silence at midday, in that dirty, disordered winter, those intense horses were the blood, the rhythm, the inciting treasure of life. I looked and was reborn. For there, unknowing, was the fountain, the dance of gold, heaven, and the fire that lives in beauty. I have forgotten that dark Berlin winter. I will not forget the light of the horses. Isn't that beautiful? On a very gray day, which it happens to be right now. And now we are going to switch scenes and put the camera on Joel or a book, I'm not sure, and Joel's going to read something very special to us.
Okay, you guys, this is Joel. I wanted to share with you this file from the Gutenberg.org press, and they have been scanning books and presenting them on the internet, so you can see this for yourself. It's a Gutenberg ebook. And it is a book of the original Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. It was published in 1843, and I'll just read you a little bit of it in the last 8 minutes of the show. The illustrations were by John Leech, who was a bit of a name. He was the Norman Rockwell of the 19th century. And the preface says, I have endeavored in this ghostly little book to raise the ghost of an idea which shall not put my readers out of humor with themselves, with each other, with the season, or with me. May it haunt their houses pleasantly, and no one wish to lay it. Their faithful friend and servant, C.D. Charles Dickens, December of 1843. So a lot of people know the carol has a reference, to singing, and he has these staves instead of chapters, sort of sectioning the haunting of Ebenezer Scrooge. And you could see some of the illustrations in this original 1843 edition. Here, for instance, Scrooge is taking his porridge in the large house that's ill outfitted, and the ghost of Marley has come to explain to him that his reclamation is at hand, that he's going to be haunted by 3 ghosts. I saw on Facebook pretty recently that people said, oh, this is a great story about rich people being terrified into being nice. So you could take it that way too. But Scrooge's transformation, especially when you see him in the movies, often presented very, very heartfelt, that he's not continuing to change his entire life just because he was scared of being caught in chains. So I'll read you a little bit of the very beginning of one of the most famous Christmas stories in Western civilization, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Here's the first chapter. Marley's Ghost. Marley was dead to begin with. There is no doubt whatever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it, and Scrooge's name was good upon change, that's the stock exchange, for anything he chose to put his hand to. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. Mind, I don't mean to say that I know of my own knowledge what there is particularly dead about a doornail. I might have been inclined myself to regard a coffin nail as the deadest piece of ironmongery in the trade, but the wisdom of our ancestors is in the simile, and my unhallowed hands shall not disturb it, or the country's done for. You will therefore permit me to repeat emphatically that Marley was as dead as a doornail. I could point out here, too, that historically, Charles Dickens was paid by the word. I don't know how much a word, but as many a great storyteller tells, he kind of teases before he gets into the story, and he starts playing around with the phrase, as dead as a doornail. Scrooge knew he was dead. Of course he did. How could it be otherwise? Scrooge and he were partners for I don't know how many years. Scrooge was his sole executor, his sole administrator, his sole assign, his sole residuary legatee, his sole friend, and sole mourner. And even Scrooge was not so dreadfully cut up by the sad event, but that he was an excellent man of business on the very day of the funeral, and solemnized it with an undoubted bargain. Now that's interesting. Probably he doesn't mean a bargain between Scrooge and Marley, or was it that Marley would come to haunt him? The mention of Marley's funeral brings me back to the point I started from. There is no doubt that Marley was dead. This must be distinctly understood, or nothing wonderful can come of the story I am going to relate. If we were not perfectly convinced that Hamlet's father died before the play began, there would be nothing more remarkable in his taking a stroll at night in an easterly wind upon his own ramparts than there would be in any other middle-aged gentleman rashly turning out after a dark in a breezy spot, say St. Paul's churchyard, for instance, literally to astonish his son's weak mind. Scrooge never painted out old Marley's name. There it stood years afterwards above the warehouse door, Scrooge and Marley. The firm was known as Scrooge and Marley. Sometimes people new to the business called Scrooge, and sometimes Marley, but he answered to both names. It was all the same to him. Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, Scrooge, a squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. Hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel had ever struck out generous fire, secret and self-contained and solitary as an oyster. The cold within him froze his old features, nipped his pointed nose, shriveled his cheek, stiffened his gait, made his eyes red, his thin lips blue, and spoke out shrewdly in his grating voice. A frosty rime was on his head and on his eyebrows and on his wiry chin. He carried his own low temperature always about with him. He iced his office in the dog days and didn't thaw it 1 degree at Christmas. External heat and cold had little influence on Scrooge. No warmth could warm, no wintry weather chill him. No wind that blew was more bitter than he. No falling snow was more intent upon its purpose. No pelting rain less open to entreaty. Foul weather didn't know where to have him. The heaviest rain and snow and hail and sleet could boast of advantage over him in only one respect. They often came down handsomely, and Scrooge never did. Well, we only got a minute left in the show. I wanted to show you some of the illustrations in this original 1843 edition of A Christmas Carol. Lots of words, you say, and this is kind of the fun of reading. And then when you read, you may want to get to the illustration. I showed you this of Marley haunting Scrooge, telling him he was going to be visited by 3 ghosts. And these ghosts show Scrooge kind of the error of his ways. They show him that it's really hard to be so self-absorbed and so self-interested and just so tight. Here's, for instance, a picture of Marley's punishment. And that is, you see people you may want to help and share with as a ghost, but you can't do it. So the holiday time is a great time to think about what you would like to give to society, how you'd like to participate. There's no rules about that really, except to open your heart. So from all of us here at MCAT, we wish you a very wonderful holiday, and we'll see you next year.